Jake Teasler here. We've got the 2018 Mustang GT dyno numbers in. First, I wanted to look at the 2015 Mustang GT dyno numbers so we have something to compare it to. So this is at Late Model Restoration's website, and on their dyno, the 2015 made 375, 358. So that's at the wheel. And if we want to get a good estimation of what the car is putting at the flywheel, we're going to multiply that times 0.15. So we're going to take 375, we're going to multiply that times 15.15. That's going to give you 15% of 375, which is 56. We're going to add that to 375, and that roughly is 431 horsepower at the flywheel with a 15% drivetrain loss. So we're going to use that estimation that the manual Mustang is losing 15% of the horsepower from the flywheel to the rear tires from the drivetrain. Okay, so if we're the 2018 that they dynoed here, we're going to assume if the manual has a 15% drivetrain loss, we're going to assume the automatic has a 20% drivetrain loss, and we're going to compare these numbers because it looks like this Mustang, the new Coyote engine, is making a ton of horsepower in my estimation. So let's just see how much it's actually making at the flywheel. At the wheel, it made 415, 397. This is on the same dyno that they have in this picture over here, and it looks like it's the same dyno. I'm not 100% certain, but it looks like it to me. So, you know, and I know the weather conditions are different, but let's just go through the numbers. This is the best we got, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to calculate how much flywheel horsepower this thing is making based on what they gave us. So 415 at the wheels. Now let's just say it's got the same drivetrain loss as the manual, which is 15%. So we're going to multiply 415 times 0.15, which will give you 15%. That's 62 horsepower. We're going to add that to 415. That's going to give us 477. So even if the automatic 10-speed has a drivetrain loss of 15%, that's still 477 flywheel horsepower. All right, now what if it's 18% loss? What if you're losing a little bit more horsepower than the manual, which I would assume, unless the automatic transmissions have gotten so good that they don't lose any more power. And okay, so it could be two things. The weather was much better this day, and on top of that, you know, the automatic transmissions aren't losing as much power, but I mean, still, this thing's making a lot of power. So let's multiply 415 times 18%, 0.18. It's going to give you 74 plus 415. You're looking at 489 flywheel horsepower. So this thing is cranking out a lot more power than we thought it would. Pretty impressive, if you ask me. So let's look at what RPM. I can't find any more information here. I'm going to have to look. I want to see the real dyno, but maybe they're not trying to release it at the moment. 415 at 6.6, I'm assuming that's 6,600 RPM. So it's making a little bit more peak power than the previous Mustang. At a little bit higher RPM, I know the previous Coyote made peak power around 65, 64, something like that. And this is a significant amount more torque also. So in my estimation, this thing is making, well, I mean, if you just subtract these two, right? So if you just look 375 to 415, what's the difference there? Well, 375 is 25 and 15. What's 25 and 15? That's 40. So it's making 40, 25, 35, 40, right? 40 more wheel horsepower even through an automatic. So in my estimation, they're rated at 460 flywheel, and then this 2015 was rated at 435 flywheel. So the 2016 is making a lot more horsepower than the 2015 through 2017 in my estimation. Yes, I'll keep saying my estimation because this is just based off bench racing, dyno numbers. We don't know about weather and a couple of other factors, but pretty impressive. What do you guys think? Like and subscribe. I'll keep you updated with the latest. Thanks again.